Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. Many of you know if you've been tuning in or like viewing in out on Facebook Live or our YouTube WNSTV channel that I've been putting these great little green screen backdrops up lately. And this is one that I shot out the window before the Chiefs game. So it wasn't like a really good night as I remember it. But this is the shot from where I live, and it was fireworks. And I'm thinking, like, when would I ever see fireworks at the stadium? Brian Lease from Roofing by Elite. I'm always inside the stadium. I'm not the guy taking the pictures of the empty stadium. I think this is the week the schedule's coming out. You know, I've not seen this. Even the concerts. I wasn't at the Beyonce Jay-Z thing, but all the other ones, I was there for that too. So seeing sort of a night like this in Baltimore, I know that that's what you and I are jonesing for right now, right?
Yeah, 100%. The night games are special. I like what they've done in the past 2 years, during the night games, where when we score a touchdown, all the lights go out, for a little bit, and then they come back on. I mean, it's pretty ominous, pretty cool feel.
Like a
So
Coldplay
I'm ready.
concert or something like that, a little bit.
Maybe Metallica.
I don't know. They don't turn the lights out at Metallica. They let you just stay on for there. But hey, that's fine. Doesn't matter the music, right? I mean, it matters the vibe. You were the original guy screaming about wide receiver here. I have some other Ravens fans that were a little bit more about some other things. Edge rusher, that's where Luke is right now, a little bit. I've been on the center thing from the beginning, and if Bradley Bozeman is that, great, then that's fine. Then don't draft one, but you better find one. I better not be talking about the center in week 9 next year as being the weak link as to where we were, right? That's how I feel about it. Give me where you are, because we're 2 weeks out on a draft, right? We're getting a schedule out, starting to feel real. They're playing baseball across the parking lot, right?
Yeah. So the last time I talked to you, we didn't have Sammy Watkins. So in my mind, my draft strategy has changed. We now can afford to wait on drafting a wide receiver, maybe in the second or third round.
See, you say that, but that's not effective. You know what I'm saying? Like you just
that's
you
in my
down
mind.
The curve,
in my mind, it is. In my mind, it is.
They're going to draft the perfect person in second or third round. In your mind,
potentially, you never know. I mean, we've drafted in the first and haven't gotten that perfect person. So anyway, I would go defensive end, because we need not one, but we need 2. So why not get that guy in the first round? And maybe we pick up Houston this week or next or after the draft, whatever. But we need 2 guys. So let's get the first one in the first round. And I'll go back to the one guy I actually mentioned the last time I was on your show, and that's that Christian Barmore. I think he's the guy.
Well, we've talked so much about the draft and the spot, right? And the Ravens don't always draft in the spot. They back up, they move up.
Sure.
They have firepower that if they want to go up into the teens because one of their top 10 guys drops and they feel like get a franchise guy, that happens in this franchise. I mean, that's why I'm always reticent to act smarter than Eric, who hasn't returned my text in a couple of weeks, by the way, because I guess he's working hard and
a little busy.
Yeah, and these are the nuances this time of the year where players become available, or whether you're going to give up compensation for Houston, whether you want to do that or not, and then how the board is going to fall to you when. And I didn't mention this a whole lot last year, but I'm going to mention a whole lot the next couple of weeks. I had Mike Silver on this week from NFL Network. I had Adam Teicher on talking about your guy Sammy Watkins and whether he was going to be an answer or not. But when it comes to what they try to do offensively, when you say something to me like, well, maybe they can get a wide receiver in the second or third round, I always feel like on offense at this point, 3 years into this, they're looking for a different kind of guy. They're just looking for a different kind of player than the Bills are, than the Titans are for their offenses. They're looking for different blockers, different guys with a mentality that want to block. And that's not to say, well, you don't want a wide receiver or a tight end that wants the ball or an H-back, but this Boyle position and this Ricard position and what the offensive line represents. And I don't know whether that means Ronnie Stanley on the left side and whether that means Orlando Brown on the right. I don't know that they know that right now fully, given where they are, but they draft differently. and they value players offensively differently in their scheme than other teams do, for better or worse. And that may mean they jump a guy early or grab a guy late, or somebody falls down, that they'll say that guy will be there because he's more of a blocker than a receiver. We'll get him in the 4th or 5th round. That'll be our Nick Boyle type of guy. I think because of that, and this is the money ball part for me, the science analytics part, that Eric DeCosta would say this is a real benefit for us, that we value players differently, because a guy that some other team wouldn't take anywhere will get later in the way we want. And I'm dying to have that conversation. There's a liars luncheon next week, but those are the kinds of conversations I want to have about him, because they do things differently.
Yeah, they do things differently. And speaking of that, here's another option that I thought about, and then I had a friend of mine just today bring up the same thought process that I had just one day, just kind of daydreaming about the draft, the scenarios, and that is, what if Eric DeCosta decides to pull a, what's his name, from Atlanta, Dimitrov. He pulls one of his moves, right? And the way they did to get Julio Jones, they kind of sold all out, went all in, okay, to get Julio. What if we did that to get Kyle Pitts? We value the tight end position more than any team out there. That's the guy. So what do you think about maybe packaging a 1, and maybe if hopefully that team up there in the first 7, 8 picks needs, I don't know, say a right tackle or a left tackle, I'm sorry, a left tackle in Orlando Brown, and we get our tight end / wide receiver.
I think there's all sorts of esoteric things that Eric could be working on
Sure.
draft day. I don't think they rule anything out. And from knowing Eric when he was a young scout, even when they didn't need a middle linebacker, they scouted middle linebackers. You know what I mean? So for me to think that some guy so high up on the board that they won't have a grade and a value, a true value, to say, all right, wouldn't do it at 8, but if he's at 14 and we can make a move there, if
Sure.
somehow it goes there, then you start to think about it. I think about giving away a whole draft is just not.
No, not a whole draft.
Bisciotti won't let that happen. You know what I mean? Like, Bisciotti's always in the desk. This is his thing too. So as much as we talk about DeCosta in the draft, everyone that's ever spoken to me, and this isn't in recent years, but Bisciotti is a prime mover in employing people. He's the people whisperer. He's the HR guy. So I think he's also a guy that really, really values these draft picks in a way that maybe the analytics side values them that maybe Mike Ditka didn't.
Yeah, Ditka didn't value very much at all. That was a little crazy. But I mean, what Atlanta did to get Julio Jones, it worked. I mean, it got him to the Super Bowl. They just didn't win it. And can't blame the GM for that. He did his part.
Still rubbing that in, I think, rubbing it in on the Falcons fans.
3.
Brian Lease is here. He's roofing by Elite. He puts roofs on people's homes, especially this time of year. A little wet, a little dry, a little heat, a little cold. I know this is a really busy time of the year. I mean, is this time of the year we're getting somebody up on the roof? It's going to take a couple of days if they get to you right now?
Yeah, it's a couple of days. It'll probably take a couple of weeks at least. We're ramping up pretty big here. Phone calls coming in left and right, which is, expected. And this is the time of year you want to get things scheduled. If anybody out there is thinking about getting a roof replacement, now is the time to do it, because you get that roof replaced, and then that asphalt in between the shingles, they kind of seal nice and tight, and you've got your perfect roof. So this is the time to do it.
This is the time to bake the cake. There you go. Roofing by Elite, roofingbyelite.com. Super fan, and the schedule coming out, and looking at Vegas, looking at places we can go. I think more than anything, and I talked to, I did a segment this week with the Believe Land producer, Andy Billman. Did you see Believe Land, the 30 by 30?
Yeah.
30?
Yeah.
He's the guy that did that show. He's a Cleveland guy, obviously.
Yeah.
And I get him on this week, and we're talking about this old Indian story he's working on with Ray Chapman from the 1920s. Only guy to ever die from getting hit by a pitch in a game. So he's doing this story on this. And we got to talking about stuff, and he like believes they're going to win. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like he's all in
Okay.
the Baker Mayfield thing, and like they're a problem now, aren't they? Like they've sort of replaced Cincinnati in that Cleveland's in the way a little bit, and draft time, schedule time, you kind of have to pay attention when you're going to play them.
Yeah, Cleveland's going to be a tough out every game, but at the end of the day, I always feel like they're just a half step away from just losing it all and tanking for the season, imploding. I just see it. They had that feel. They had that aura about them. They're not real, contenders. They're definitely pretenders.
Well, now that they've gotten in and like won a little bit, that they tasted it a little bit. I'm dealing with all these Browns fans that for 20 years I haven't had to deal with them in that way. They're all going to be like hitting me when the Browns games go out there this time. We're going to, that's going to be a big game. That's never been a big game.
It
Lamar
is
running
now.
off and doing whatever. Yeah, right. Exactly. It's Cleveland, Baltimore becomes a big game all of a sudden. It looks like this, right?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, watch out for Cincinnati. I think they're building something there as well. So we're gonna have our hands full, but that's nothing new. So we're built for it.
I'll hate the Steelers when they're on the clock 2 weeks from now. Brian Lease is here. He's roofing by Elite, working on roofs. Have you done the Orioles or no? None at all.
I went to opening day. I did do that.
And how? Okay, tell me how your day was with a mask on, walking around the stadium and being however it was. What was the experience like?
First and foremost, it was fun to be back at Camden Yards. I mean, that's the first time I've been there in about 20 years. So that was fun in itself, just being inside and the atmosphere that
What
the
made you go?
ballpark brings.
Or hang on, what made you stay away? Don't answer that. I think I know.
Yeah, but it was nice being back and sitting in the stand. But one thing I'll tell you I didn't like was their concession stands. I literally stood in line for 25 minutes to get one beer, and every single concession stand was that way. The lines were amazing. I'm like, are you kidding me? I've seen jam-packed football stadiums move lines faster than this. It
Not
was
that many
horrendous.
people there.
There weren't. That's what I couldn't understand. But they had enough concession stands open to
I,
accommodate.
honest to God, wondered whether like how the concessions.
It was terrible.
How do you manage for 11,000 people? But I'm not being a prick, but like they get 11,000 people a lot of nights. That's a good crowd a lot of nights. So like, but spread out throughout the stadium where you're not going to walk from right field to home plate to get a hot dog, but you also don't want to wait in line 25 minutes. Hey, look, man. I'm bitched out with the Orioles. You know what I mean? Somebody hit me a couple weeks ago about the announcers, asked me what happened to Ryan Wagner. And I'm like, I don't know. He's probably selling beer over Guinness. I don't know. But I don't make excuses for them one way or another. And Luke and I talked about the pitching and just sort of like how bad it is and how bad it's going to be and why they want it to be bad and how you paid full price for that beer.
Yeah. It's quite clear that the way the whole organization is run is not right. They're not putting a winning product on the field or off. Something needs to change.
I'm sorry you had that kind of experience. I mean, I say that like an Angelos. I'm sorry you had a bad experience. Let me give you a rain checker. But it is a little depressing for me because I don't go, and I really do want to have people tell me that it's changing, that TJ Brightman's doing something different. And I know they're not. I mean, I live here. I mean, I know better. And this is a time of year where it's nice to be excited about the Ravens. It's nice to be excited about the schedule. It's nice to be thinking about, the offense and the tic-tac-toe of how they're going to play and all that. But, man, I'm 52 years old. Most of my life, my body clock has been around Dave Parker being on the show this week and thinking that's cool from 1979. And I'm thinking – most of my friends can't even name the players. I mean, how many? That would probably be an issue for you as well, right? Like you went
Willie
to the
Stargell,
game as a social endeavor,
I
right?
remember him. If you were going down that road, I got Willie Stargell and Dave Parker. Those are the only two I can remember.
We get Blyleven probably too. I'll give you that. Probably Phil Garner, Matt Locke, probably Omar Moreno. Not that I want to remember any of those guys, but that is one of the issues that in marketing what they're doing is who their players are.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, they have a lot of changes that need to be made. and it'll be a long time before I go back. Trust me.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. It was that kind of an experience. Okay. I mean, when I say things like that on the radio, they call me a bad guy. You know what I'm saying? When I say I'm not going back, but
Yeah.
I want to go. Strangely enough, like my wife's been out of town. My wife's been in Florida with her mom, and like if somebody called me, I mean, I guess I'd go up for a while, maybe, but I'm not giving them money. And I remember saying to you last year, you and I had several conversations about this because I went to Houston and there was nobody there. I went to Washington, there was nobody there for the Ravens I'm talking about. And then I
Hmm.
went to Philly and there were like a handful of people there. I felt sorry for the people there. Like it didn't look
Right.
like it was fun in the way that a $200 Sunday should be fun.
No, it's not, because I was in Philly. I was there for that game, and definitely has had a different vibe, obviously due to COVID. I think we'll see we'll be at least. I'm obviously only guessing here, but we'll be at a minimum 50% for football stadium, if not 75 to 100. So it'll have a totally different vibe this year. I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping for 100%. We'll see.
I know I've told you this before, but I'm having a bunch of my music buddies on the next couple of weeks as we get up on the draft. I'm doing football and music next couple of weeks because the music thing's starting to come to life a little bit. I had Mickey Coachella on last week. Record theaters, back open again in the rec room, and so they're doing some comedy, some music, and my boys out in Frederick are doing their drive-in with Get the Lead Out and Kicks and some bands. Rob Fahey's been out playing a little bit. So, I feel like that's the thing that I'm going to go do where there's people that I want to do, which is a concert.
Yeah,
That's going to be the thing that I'm more into that than, let's say, a hockey game right now, as an
sure.
example.
It's funny you say that, because I had tickets to see Rage Against the Machine last August.
Oh.
Because of COVID, it was pushed to this August. They've since moved it to August 2022. I thought for sure they would play this
Oh, they
August.
banged the tour. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
they
Okay.
moved it. They pushed it another year. That's 2 years
I haven't
now that they
kept up
pushed it
with it,
out.
right? Like I told somebody last week, I got a new phone, right? And I had to
Mhm.
redo all my apps. I like the color of my phone. And I had to pull down Ticketmaster and StubHub. And I'm like, I don't know the passwords. I haven't touched
Right.
those in a year and a
Been that
half.
while.
And then I opened, and there's my Pearl Jam and my Rolling Stones tickets are still in my billfold from the
Wow.
shows that didn't
Wow.
happen.
Yeah.
And they better have refunded me. Those bastards. You know how they rip you off,
Yeah.
Ticketmaster. So I hope I got my money back from the Stones show. I went online. I had Stones tickets in San Diego for the opening of the Stones tour, the first night of the tour. And we got
Hmm.
the lucky dip, which is the cheap ticket, which a lot of times is a pit ticket, which is really like
Sure.
amazing. So we were all set to do it. And, COVID knocks it out. About 8 weeks ago, I'm on Twitter and I'm just like surfing. They blew up the Murph. Like they imploded the stadium that the concert was
Oh
supposed to be.
wow.
I wonder why they took it off my app. I'm like, why would the Stones cancel the San Diego show? And I'm like,
All right.
oh, there ain't a stadium anymore.
Oh
Oh,
wow.
oh, wow. So different things during COVID. Make sure your stadium doesn't fall in, your roof doesn't fall in. Roofing by Elite. Here to help you, Brian Lease is our pal from Rosedale, but he works all around the region and has his machinery right in the DMV between Baltimore and Washington, making it happen. But I don't have too many of those Washington football team. I'm trying to not say the R word, and I said it on the radio again earlier today because I bring it up and I
It
was
happened.
talking. Yeah, I
It's
was
okay.
talking to the Indians guy, and I said the R word, so I'm trying to be respectful. All right, man. Tell everybody how to get in touch with you, get on a roof and all that stuff, because I know there is a little bit of a log jam to get that done right now.
Easiest way is go to roofingbyelite.com, fill out the contact form, and submit your info. We'll get to you in 24 hours.
Nice. All right, man. Well,
That
enjoy the
easy.
good weather. Enjoy. Hopefully next time we get together, we're like looking at the dates and we're figuring out how the Ravens are going to be not 16-0, 17-0. 17 game. They can't be 12-4 anymore. Like I
That's
thought
right.
about it.
That's right.
I was awake the other night. My cat was keeping me awake. And I'm up thinking in the middle of the night. I'm like, yeah, Ravens schedule's coming out. Yeah, I'll have Lease on the show. Yeah, Vegas. Maybe it'll be September 8th. And I'm like, maybe they'll be 11-5. Oh no, like I'm never gonna say 11-5 again. I'm never gonna say 10-6 again. I'm never gonna say 9-7 again.
That's right. And the other hard part about this is like NFL records. like receiving yards in a year and all that. It's all going to change now.
I
How do you
remember when
get?
3,000 yards was like a big passing year now, right?
Yeah, right. That's nothing now. You got to get up to 5.
Well, and then you say, where's the middle of the season? Is it week 8, week 9? There's going to be
Yeah,
buys. It's going to be a little unbalanced. I like you. I just wish the Rams game was out there instead of here. That would have been better for my mojo. You
that's
got to
right.
play the
That's
Rams,
right.
play them there. Brian
That's
Lease,
right.
Roofing by Elite, working it out on residential and commercial facilities. If you need any help, find him at roofingbyelite.com. Always good to visit with you, man. We'll see you next week. All right.
All right. Thanks a lot.
There he goes. All of our intelligent conversations brought to you by our friends at Wise Markets. They are our newest sponsor. I had Rob Santoni on last week, and I've been shopping. I've been shopping at Wise for a long, long time. I go old school back to Perry Hall back in the day. My son went to high school at the turn of the century, but we are just so happy to have them involved. We're going to be telling a lot of stories about nutrition, about freshness, about saving money, about eating better, all of those things you know about with our partners at Wise Markets. Intelligent conversations have now become Wise Conversations. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore positive.